The alarm started beeping at 3 in the morning. Jake Morrison rolled out of his bed and ran to the bridge. He was the captain of a human spaceship called the Valiant. His ship was flying near the edge of human space, doing regular patrol work. Nothing exciting ever happened out here, but today was different. When Jake got to the bridge, his friend Amy was already there. She was looking at a screen with strange symbols on it. Amy was smart and always figured things out before everyone else. "What do we have?" Jake asked. Amy looked worried. "It's a distress call, Captain. Someone is asking for help. The message is in a language our computers don't know yet." Jake sat down in his chair and watched the screen. The symbols kept repeating over and over. "Can you translate it?" Amy worked on her computer for a few minutes. Her fingers moved fast across the buttons. Finally, the alien symbols turned into words that Jake could read. Then a voice came through the speakers. It sounded scared and desperate. "This is the ship Luminous Dawn. We are from the Kalari people. Bad ships are attacking us. Our shields are breaking. Our weapons don't work. We have 63 people on our ship. 12 of them are children. Please help us. We are going to die soon. Please, anyone who can hear this." The message started again from the beginning. Jake felt his chest get tight. There were children on that ship. Kids who were about to die if nobody helped them. Where are they? Jake asked. Amy checked her screens. "They are 40 light years away in the Viridian sector. That's not our area. We need to ask our commanders for permission to go there." Jake stood up. "How long will it take us to reach them?" "Captain, we need authorization first." "We can't just go there. It's outside our patrol zone." "Amy, how long?" Jake's voice was firm. Amy sighed. 18 hours if we go as fast as we can." Jake made his decision quickly. "Set the course. Send a message to Earth Command and tell them what we're doing. And find out everything you can about these Kreth attackers." Amy nodded and started working. The ship's engines got louder and the Valiant jumped into fast space travel. Stars turned into long white lines outside the windows. Jake knew this might get him in trouble. Earth had rules about going into neutral space. Humans were new to the galaxy. They had only been traveling to other stars for 20 years. The other alien races were much older and more powerful. Earth didn't want to make them angry, but Jake couldn't just ignore people who needed help. Before he became a ship captain, he had been a firefighter. He used to run into burning buildings to save people. This felt the same to him. Someone needed help and he could give it. The 18 hours felt very long. Jake's crew worked hard to get ready. Derek was in charge of weapons. He made sure all the guns and missiles were ready. Lisa handled communications and kept trying to contact the alien ship. The rest of the crew checked every system on the Valiant. Jake read reports about the Kreth Dominion. They were raiders and pirates. They attacked weak ships and stole things. Sometimes they took people and sold them as slaves. The Galactic Council, which was like a government for all the alien races, had told the Kreth to stop many times. But the Kreth didn't listen, and nobody did anything to stop them. The Kalari were different from the Kreth. They were peaceful scientists who studied stars and space. They had no weapons and no army. They just wanted to learn about the universe. That's why the Kreth attacked them. Bullies always pick on people who can't fight back. When the Valiant finally arrived at the Viridian sector, Jake saw something terrible. The Kalari ship was floating in space with burn marks all over it. 3 black Kreth warships were flying around it like sharks around a wounded fish. As Jake watched, the Kreth fired their weapons again. Blue energy flashed around the Kalari ship as its shields tried to stop the attack. "Derek, what are we looking at?" Jake asked. Derek checked his screens. 3 Kreth destroyers, Captain. Each one is about 200 meters long. They have plasma guns and missiles. The Kalari ship has almost no shields left, maybe 7% power. Lisa, open a communication channel to the Kreth ships. Use the standard galactic language. Lisa pressed some buttons. "Channel open, sir." Jake spoke clearly and strongly. "Kreth ships, this is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Force ship Valiant. Stop your attack right now. Leave this area immediately. This is your only warning." Nothing happened for a few seconds. Then the main screen showed a Kreth alien. It looked like a big lizard with red scales and many eyes. When it talked, the computer turned its words into English. "Human ship, you have no power here. This is Kreth territory. Go away now or we will destroy your ship too." Jake smiled, but his eyes were cold. "I don't think you understand. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. Leave now or I will make you leave." The Kreth commander's eyes got smaller. "1 human ship against 3 Kreth ships? You are stupid. We heard about humans. You are soft and weak. You just got to space. You are no danger to us. Jake didn't move. He kept looking at the alien. Derek, fire a warning shot. Use the railgun at full power. Aim at the front of the lead ship. Derek pressed a button. Firing now, Captain. The Valiant's railgun was a special human weapon. It shot a piece of heavy metal faster than anything the aliens had ever seen. The metal slug hit the first Kreth ship and went straight through the front like it was made of paper. The front part of the ship exploded and turned into hot gas. The rest of the ship spun backward with air and smoke pouring out of it. The Kreth commander's mouth fell open in shock. Jake spoke quietly. That was a warning. The next shot will hit your command bridge. You have 30 seconds to start leaving. For 5 long seconds, nobody moved. Then the 2 undamaged Kreth ships turned around and disappeared in flashes of light. They had jumped away to safety. The damaged ship limped away slowly, leaving a trail of debris behind it. Everyone on the Valiant's bridge started cheering, but Jake held up his hand for quiet. Amy, connect me to the Kalari ship. Lisa, get a repair team ready. Derek, watch those sensors. The Kreth might come back with more ships. The screen changed to show a Kalari alien. She looked delicate and beautiful with blue glowing skin and big eyes. She was crying with happiness. Human ship, I am Valora. I lead the Luminous Dawn. You saved us. You actually came to help us. We called for help so many times, but nobody answered. Only you came. Jake felt emotion in his chest. Valora, we're going to send people over to help fix your ship. How many of your crew are hurt? 4 are dead and 11 are hurt. But the children are safe. You saved our children. Her voice broke as she cried. How can we ever thank you? You don't need to thank us, Jake said firmly. You needed help and we could give it. That's all that matters. When the communication ended, Amy leaned close to Jake. Sir, you know this is going to cause problems, right? We attacked Kreth ships without asking permission first. Jake nodded slowly. I know, but we did the right thing. Sometimes that's what matters most. What Jake didn't know was that the Kalari ship had recorded everything that happened. Soon that recording would travel to many star systems. The whole galaxy was about to learn something important about humans. When someone called for help, humans answered, and they weren't afraid to fight. The recording of what happened spread across the galaxy very fast. On hundreds of planets, billions of aliens watched the video. They saw the human ship attack the Kreth destroyer. They heard Captain Jake Morrison tell the raiders to leave. They watched human doctors in special suits help the Kalari children. The reactions were strong and different everywhere. At the Galactic Council headquarters, all the important aliens met to watch the video. The council building was huge and made of crystal that sparkled in the light. Representatives from 47 different alien races floated in special chairs that used gravity control. Ambassador Thelrin was an Arxur, the first alien race to meet humans. The Arxur looked like big insects with many legs. They had been in space for thousands of years and knew a lot about everything. Thelrin had helped humans join the galactic community. He watched the video with mixed feelings. When the video ended, everyone started shouting at once. The translation computers tried to turn all the different languages into common speech. This is terrible, yelled a Hector representative. The Hector looked like giant crabs with thick shells. The humans attacked without any reason. This is the same as piracy. The Kreth were attacking innocent people, said Ambassador Yaris. The Pelthine were made of living crystal that sang when they talked. The humans answered a distress call. That's allowed by our laws. Barely allowed, growled a Valdrine ambassador. The Valdrine were covered in thick fur and had sharp teeth. The humans had no authority to fight in neutral space. They should have asked for permission first. Thelrin finally stood up. His voice was strong and everyone got quiet. Council members, please be calm. We need to think about this carefully. The room slowly became quiet. The humans did something the council has not done in 50 years. Thelrin continued. They stood up to the Kreth Dominion. Not with words or warnings, but with real action. We may not like how they did it, but we cannot ignore the result. 63 Kalari are alive because humans helped them. But what about the rules? The Hector demanded. If every race starts fighting in neutral space, we will have war everywhere. The Council exists to stop war. The Council exists to protect innocent people, said a new voice. Everyone turned to look. Valora, the Kalari research director, was floating near the entrance. She had asked to speak to the Council and they had let her. Honored members, Valora said. Her voice shook, but she kept talking. My ship sent 17 calls for help to the Council. 17 times we begged someone to save us. Not one of you answered. Not one of you sent help. The humans are not even in the council. They didn't have to help us. But they came anyway. They risked their lives and their ship to save people they never met. She showed a hologram of 12 young Kalari faces. These are the children who would be dead if the humans had followed council rules and waited for permission that would never come. Tell me, which is more important? Your rules or their lives? The room became very quiet. Nobody knew what to say. The humans say they are a young race, Valora kept talking. They say they are still learning about the galaxy. But maybe we should learn from them. Maybe we have become so worried about diplomacy and procedures that we forgot what it means to help people who need it. She looked at Ambassador Thelrin. The Kalari Union asks the Council to say that the humans did the right thing. We also ask that Captain Jake Morrison and his crew be praised, not punished. The Council argued for 3 hours. Finally, they made a decision that nobody really liked. They said the humans' actions were unusual but justified. Captain Morrison would get an official warning for acting without permission, but nothing else would happen to him. It was a political answer that changed nothing in the Council. But far away from the Council, the video was causing very different reactions. On the Kreth home planet of Krethos Prime, Warlord Zrakar watched the video for the 15th time. He was so angry that his claws cut into his own hand and made it bleed. "This is impossible," he hissed. "One ship, one weak human ship destroyed the Dark Fang and made 2 of our best destroyers run away." His advisor, an old soldier named Morkath, bowed low. "Warlord, the human weapons are much stronger than we thought. Their armor is tougher. They fight in ways we didn't expect." "Excuses," Zrakar snarled. "Everyone knows humans are weak. They just got to space. They have no real military. Warlord, maybe our information is wrong. The humans come from what they call a death world. Very strong gravity, violent storms, dangerous animals everywhere. They evolved by fighting to survive every single day. Maybe we didn't understand what that means." Zrakar stood up. He was nearly 3 meters tall and cast a big shadow. "Then we will teach them not to interfere with the Kreth Dominion. Get the 5th Fleet ready. 50 warships. We will find this human ship and destroy it. We will make an example that the whole galaxy will remember. What if the humans send more ships? Then we destroy them too. We are the Kreth. We have conquered 17 species. What are humans compared to that?" But as Zrakar gave his orders, he felt something strange, something he hadn't felt in a long time, a small cold feeling of worry in his stomach. He remembered how fast that human gun fired, how much damage it did, how calm the human captain was when he gave his warning. Maybe, just maybe, the galaxy had made a mistake about these humans. On the other side of the galaxy, on Earth itself, Admiral Patricia Hayes stood in Fleet Command watching the same video. She had short gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "He disobeyed orders," said Admiral Gordon Mitchell. Gordon commanded the 2nd Fleet. "Morrison was supposed to patrol the border, nothing else. Instead, he's created an international incident." Patricia didn't answer right away. She had watched the video many times. She saw how precise that railgun shot was, how well the crew worked together, how Morrison gave the Kreeth every chance to leave peacefully before showing his power. "He saved 63 lives," Patricia said finally, "including 12 children. What would you have done, Gordon?" "I would have followed the rules. I would have asked for permission. I would have waited for orders. And by the time those orders arrived, everyone on that ship would be dead or enslaved." Patricia turned to look at Gordon. "We both know how this works. Space is huge. Messages take time. Sometimes the people out there have to make the choice themselves. The Council is angry with us. The Council is embarrassed," Patricia corrected him. "They're embarrassed that one human ship did what their whole organization couldn't do. They're embarrassed that it took us to show them what real courage looks like." She brought up a map showing where all of Earth's military ships were. Compared to the old alien empires, humanity's fleet was small. 50 big warships, a few hundred support ships, and some defense stations. But what they lacked in numbers, they made up with better technology and training. "Gordon, I want you to do something," Patricia said. "Start moving the 3rd and 4th Fleets toward the Viridian sector. Keep them just inside our territory but ready to move fast. You think the Kreth will attack back? The Kreth are predators. They respect strength and attack weakness. Morrison showed them strength. Now they'll either back off or make it bigger. If they make it bigger, I want to be ready. The Council won't like us moving warships near neutral space. Patricia smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. The council can complain all they want. I care more about keeping our people alive. While the admirals kept planning, something else was happening. A small data file was being sent to every human colony, station, and outpost in space. It was the video of what the Valiant did, with a simple message attached. This is what humanity stands for. This is who we are. On colony worlds and space stations, in mines and research labs, humans watched the video. They saw one of their own standing up to raiders and bullies. They saw Captain Morrison risk his ship and crew to save complete strangers. And they felt something wake up inside them. Pride in being human, a sense of purpose, a reminder that even in the cold darkness of space, some things still mattered. Courage mattered. Kindness mattered. Doing the right thing, even when it was hard, still mattered. In bars and dining halls across human space, the video played again and again. Crews raised their drinks to Captain Morrison. Parents told their children about the hero who saved the alien children. Artists started making songs about the Valiant and its brave crew. Humanity was still a young species trying to find its place among the stars. But now they had discovered who they were. They were the ones who answered when someone called for help. And somewhere in the dark of space, the Kreth Fifth Fleet was getting ready to launch. Captain Jake Morrison didn't feel like a hero. He felt tired and worried. He was pretty sure he had made a big mistake. The Valiant had taken the damaged Kalari ship to the nearest safe place, a trading station called Haven's Rest. The repairs on the Luminous Dawn would take weeks. Jake's orders from Earth Command were confusing. They told him to stay in the area and be defensive, but avoid more trouble. Avoid more trouble. Like he had been looking for it in the first place. Now Jake sat alone in his room reading messages from Earth. Some people called him a hero and said he made humanity proud. Other people said he was reckless and dangerous. The official message from Admiral Hayes was neutral. She praised his success but reminded him to follow proper rules. Someone knocked on his door. "Come in," Jake said. Amy came in carrying a computer pad. She had the look on her face that Jake had learned meant bad news. "Let me guess," Jake said. "More angry messages from the Council?" "Worse. Intelligence intercepted Kreth military messages. They're putting together a fleet. A big one. 50 warships, Jake, and from what we can tell, they're coming for us." Jake felt his stomach drop. 50 ships? Are you sure? Intelligence is 92% confident. They're calling it the Fifth Fleet. We embarrassed the Kreth leadership really badly. They want revenge and they want to make a point. Jake stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at the stars. 50 warships against his one ship. The math was simple and terrible. "How long do we have?" he asked. "Best guess is 48 hours. Maybe less if they push their engines hard." "Where's the nearest Earth fleet?" Amy paused. "The Third Fleet is 3 days away. The Fourth Fleet is 4 days out. Admiral Hayes has them moving our way, but they won't get here in time. 48 hours. Jake's mind raced through options and ideas. The Valiant was powerful for its size, but it wasn't magic. Against 50 enemy ships, even human weapons wouldn't be enough. "What about the other ships here at Haven's Rest?" Jake asked. "Mostly cargo ships and a few small patrol craft. Nothing that could fight a Kreth destroyer, much less 50 of them." Jake turned back to Amy. "Honest opinion. What should we do?" She looked him straight in the eye. "We should leave. We did our job. The Kalari are safe. We're not required to die in a hopeless fight. And the station? The thousands of civilians here? The Kreth are coming for us, not them. If we leave, the station will be safe." Jake knew she was right. It was the smart, logical choice. It was what any reasonable captain would do. Save your ship, save your crew, live to fight another day. But Jake kept thinking about those 12 Kalari children, about Director Valora crying with relief, about the message humanity was sending to the galaxy. "No," he said quietly. "We're staying. Jake, I know it's suicide. I know we can't win. But if we run, what does that say? That humans only help when it's easy? That we'll fight 3 Kreth ships but run from 50? He shook his head. "We're staying. We'll get as many civilians out as we can. We'll set up defenses, and when the Kreth show up, we'll fight as hard as we can." Amy was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled, a fierce look that reminded Jake why he trusted her. "You're crazy. You know that, right?" "Probably. Will you stay with me anyway?" "Always, Captain." "So what's the plan?" Over the next 12 hours, the Valiant became incredibly busy. Jake contacted the station administrator, an alien named Korth. Korth looked like a big dog that walked on two legs. Jake explained the situation. To his surprise, Korth didn't panic. "I was expecting something like this," Korth said. His dog-like face looked serious. "The moment that video spread, I knew there would be trouble." "What do you need?" "Help getting civilians out. Everything that can fly should leave the system before the Kreth arrive. That will cause panic. Many won't want to leave their homes and businesses. Then tell them the truth. In 48 hours, this system becomes a war zone. Anyone who stays does so at their own risk." The evacuation started immediately. Cargo ships and passenger vessels began leaving Haven's Rest in a steady stream. They carried thousands of refugees to safer systems, but many people chose to stay. Some were stubborn. Some were too poor to leave. Some felt a strange loyalty to the humans who had chosen to stay and fight. The Kalari were among those who stayed. Director Valora refused to leave even though Jake strongly suggested she should. "You saved us," she told him over the communication link. "Now we will stand with you. Our ship has no weapons, but we have scientists who can help with strategy and repairs and anything you need." Jake wanted to argue, but he saw the determination in her glowing eyes. He knew it would be pointless. Besides, they would need all the help they could get. Derek, the weapons officer, worked day and night getting the Valiant ready for battle. Every railgun was checked twice. Missile tubes were loaded with the most powerful warheads. The ship's armor was strengthened wherever possible. Power lines were changed to give maximum power to shields and weapons. "We have maybe enough ammunition for a long fight with 20 ships, Derek reported. "After that, we're down to energy weapons only, and those don't hit hard enough to break through Kreth armor." "Then we make every shot count," Jake said. "I want firing plans ready for multiple targets. We need to take out as many ships as possible right at the start." Lisa, who handled communications, picked up something interesting. "Captain, we're getting volunteer offers from some of the cargo ships still here. They want to help fight. They're civilians," Amy protested. "Most of those ships have no weapons." "But they have engines," Jake said thoughtfully. "And cargo bays." "Lisa, tell the volunteers I have a job for them." "Derek, how many spare missiles do we have in storage?" "About 80. They're older models, not as powerful as our current ones, but they'll still hurt." "Good, we're going to give them to the volunteers. They can launch the missiles remotely, then get away from the combat zone. It'll give us more firepower." It was a desperate plan, but desperate was all they had. 36 hours after Amy's warning, long-range sensors detected the Kreth fleet. 50 warships in a tight military formation dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. They began moving forward at a steady, confident pace. Why hurry? They had overwhelming numbers on their side. Jake stood on the bridge of the Valiant watching the display. His crew was at battle stations. Their faces showed fear and determination mixed together. Most of them were young, in their 20s or early 30s. Many had never been in real combat before they fought the Kreth 3 days ago. They deserved better than a suicide mission. But when Jake looked at their faces, he didn't see doubt. He saw resolve. They had all volunteered to stay. They all understood what was coming. And they were ready. "All hands, this is the captain," Jake said over the ship-wide speakers. "In about 2 hours, the Kreth fleet will arrive. They're coming for us. They want revenge for the embarrassment we gave them. They want to prove that humans are weak and soft and don't belong among the stars." He paused. "They're wrong. We're here because 63 innocent people needed help. We're here because those 12 Kalari children deserved a chance to grow up. We're here because someone had to stand up and say no to bullies and raiders." His voice got stronger. "I won't lie to you. The odds are terrible. We're probably not going to survive this. But before we go down, we're going to teach the Kreth something important. We're going to teach them that humans don't back down, that humans protect people who can't protect themselves, that humans will pay any price to do what's right." He looked around the bridge at his crew's faces. "It has been my honor to serve with you. Now let's show these aliens what humans can do." As the Kreth fleet got closer, Jake thought one last time about Earth, about his family, about all the things he would never see or do. Then he pushed those thoughts away and focused on the battle to come. The Valiant's engines roared to life and the small human warship moved to meet an enemy fleet 50 times its size. Far away, billions of aliens watched their sensors and waited for the battle's outcome. Most expected a quick, brutal defeat for the humans. Some hoped for a miracle. A few prayed to their gods for the safety of the brave people on that one small ship. But on Earth, in Fleet Command, Admiral Patricia Hayes was making secret calls. Urgent calls. Calls to ships and captains she trusted completely. I don't care about rules, she told each of them. I don't care about orders. I don't care about politics. One of ours is about to die alone against impossible odds, and I will not let that happen. If you're with me, set course for Haven's Rest, maximum speed. We're going to save our people. And across human space, ship after ship broke from their positions and turned toward the Viridian sector. Help was coming. The question was whether it would arrive in time. The Kreth Fifth Fleet entered weapons range like a dark storm. 50 warships spread across space in a formation designed to maximize their firepower. At the center flew the flagship Crimson Death, a massive ship that was bigger than anything else in the system. On its bridge, Warlord Zrakar watched the tactical screen with satisfaction. The single human ship sat near the trading station, looking tiny and alone. So the humans have chosen to stand and fight, Zrakar said with amusement. Brave in a stupid sort of way. Open a communication channel. The screen flickered to show Captain Jake Morrison's face. The human looked calm, almost relaxed. This annoyed Zrakar more than fear would have. Human captain, Zrakar hissed. You destroyed one of my ships. You humiliated the Kreth Dominion in front of the entire galaxy. For this you will pay with your life. Surrender now and I promise your crew will die quickly. Resist and I will make your deaths last for days. Jake smiled that cold smile that had become famous across the galaxy. Warlord Zrakar, right? I have a different offer. Turn your fleet around and leave this system. Do that and I'll let you keep your ships and your life. Refuse and I'll send every one of your vessels home as scrap metal. The Kreth bridge erupted in laughter. 50 ships against one and the human was making threats? You are insane, Zrakar said. What weapon could you possibly have that would threaten my fleet? Me, Jake said simply. The channel closed, Zrakar's laughter died. Something about the human's confidence worried him. All ships surround the human vessel. When I give the order, focus all fire on their position. I want nothing left but dust. The Kreth fleet began to move, spreading out to circle their prey. But then something unexpected happened. 15 civilian ships that had been at the edge of the system suddenly lit their engines and accelerated toward the Kreth fleet. Their cargo bays opened and missiles began launching. Old human weapons tumbled through space toward the Kreth formation. What is this? Zrakar roared. Civilians attacking us with old weapons? But the missiles weren't harmless. They were older models, yes, but they were still human military hardware. And humans were very good at making things that exploded. The first wave of 80 missiles scattered across the Kreth formation. Defense systems tracked them, shooting down most. But not all. A dozen missiles got through, slamming into various Kreth ships. The explosions weren't enough to destroy the warships, but they did something more important. They damaged sensors, knocked out weapons, and disrupted the Kreth formation. And in that moment of chaos, the Valiant struck. Jake had positioned his ship carefully, using Haven's Rest station to hide his approach. Now he pushed the engines to maximum, bringing the Valiant screaming out from behind the station at incredible speed. The systems that protected the crew from the acceleration groaned under the stress, but they held. Derek, fire everything. Target the ships with damaged shields. The Valiant's main railgun fired first, a thunderous crack that sent a metal rod screaming across space faster than anything natural. It hit a Kreth destroyer that had been damaged by missiles and punched completely through it. The kinetic energy was so immense that the ship broke in half, both pieces tumbling away in flames. Missile tubes opened, launching smart weapons that dodged and weaved through defensive fire. Laser guns tracked targets, burning through weakened armor. The Valiant was built for one purpose, war, and it was very good at its job. 3 more Kreth ships died in the first 90 seconds, torn apart by human weapons that hit harder and faster than anything the Kreth had faced before. The galaxy had thought humans would have weak technology because they were new to space, but humanity had learned to fight on a world that tried to kill them every day. They had learned to build weapons that could punch far above their weight. Evasive moves, Jake ordered as return fire began pouring in. Don't let them lock onto us. Amy's hands flew across the controls, putting the Valiant through a series of violent spins and turns that no Kreth ship could match. The human vessel danced through space, spinning and diving, its engines burning at maximum as it avoided the storm of plasma fire and missiles. But there were just too many enemies. Shields began to fail as hits piled up. Armor plating vaporized. A lucky shot from the Crimson Death took out one of the Valiant's engines, sending the ship spinning. "Hull breach on deck 7, Amy reported. "Emergency fields are holding, but we've lost maneuvering power." Jake gritted his teeth. They'd taken 10 Kreth ships out of the fight, but 40 remained. And now the Valiant was hurt, unable to dodge as well. "All power to forward shields," he ordered. "We're going to ram them." "Sir?" Amy looked shocked. "You heard me. Point us at the flagship. We're going to take out Zarakar even if it kills us." But before the order could be executed, something impossible happened. The space around Haven's Rest rippled and tore, and ships began to appear. Human ships. Dozens of them. Cruisers, destroyers, frigates, all marked with the Earth Defense Force insignia. And at their head flew the dreadnought Defiant, flagship of the Third Fleet with Admiral Patricia Hayes herself in command. Jake stared at the screen in disbelief. How? They couldn't have gotten here this fast. They must have left the moment the Kreth fleet was detected, Amy said, wonder in her voice. They ignored orders. They came anyway. On the Crimson Death, Warlord Zarakar felt real fear for the first time in decades. His fleet now faced not one human ship, but 47. And unlike his vessels, which were already damaged and disorganized, the human ships were fresh, organized, and very angry. Admiral Hayes's voice came across every channel. "Kreth fleet, this is Admiral Patricia Hayes of the Earth Defense Force. You came here to punish one of our ships for defending innocent civilians. That was a mistake. You came here expecting an easy victory. That was a mistake. You came here thinking humans were weak. That was your biggest mistake." Her voice turned cold. "I am giving you one chance. Leave now.
Stop your attack!
Or I will personally make sure that not one of your ships makes it home." Zarakar looked at the tactical display. He still had more ships. His vessels were individually larger. By all logic, he should have the advantage. But he had watched that one human ship destroy 10 of his vessels easily. Now there were 47 of them. Pride fought with survival instinct. Pride won. All ships engaged the humans.
For the Dominion!
For Kreth honor. The Kreth fleet opened fire. A massive wave of plasma and missiles that lit up space. The human fleet responded with their railguns and missiles, and the Battle of Haven's Rest truly began. What followed was not really a battle. It was a massacre. The humans moved like hunting wolves, groups of ships working together with perfect coordination. They used tactics the Kreth had never seen. Aggressive moves that took advantage of their superior speed and maneuverability. They shared targeting information in real time, allowing multiple ships to focus fire on single targets, overwhelming shields and armor in seconds. The Kreth, by contrast, fought as they always had, with brute force and numbers. But numbers meant nothing when the enemy could outmaneuver you, outshoot you, and outthink you. 3 human frigates working perfectly together destroyed a Kreth cruiser in 45 seconds. 2 destroyers performed a complex pincer movement that caught a Kreth dreadnought between them. Railgun fire tearing through the massive ship from both sides at once. A light cruiser used debris from a destroyed Kreth ship as cover, popping out to fire missiles before disappearing again. And at the center of it all, the Defiant carved through the Kreth fleet like a knife through paper. Its main guns were larger, more powerful versions of the Valiant's railgun, and each shot was death. Ship after ship fell to the flagship's weapons. Jake, his own ship too damaged to rejoin the fight, could only watch in awe. Admiral Hayes isn't just fighting them. She's making a statement. "What statement?" Amy asked. "That you don't threaten humans. That you don't attack those we protect. That we're not weak, we're not soft, and we are definitely not prey." Within 20 minutes, half the Kreth fleet was destroyed or disabled. The survivors began to break formation trying to escape, but the human ships chased them down with ruthless efficiency. On the Crimson Death, Warlord Zarakar knew he had lost. His flagship was surrounded, his fleet shattered, his reputation destroyed. He could flee, but the humans would catch him. He could fight, but he would die. Pride in the end was all he had left. "All power to weapons," he ordered. "We will take at least one of them with us." The Crimson Death's remaining guns charged, preparing to fire on the nearest human ship. But before it could, something struck the flagship's engine section. Not a railgun round. Not a missile. A ship. The Valiant, its engines barely working, had used the last of its power to ram the Kreth flagship. Jake Morrison was at the controls. The collision tore both ships apart. The Valiant's front crumpled, atmosphere venting, systems failing. The Crimson Death's engines exploded, sending a chain reaction through its power systems. Both vessels tumbled through space, dying together. Jake! Admiral Hayes screamed over the communication system. All ships, emergency rescue. Get crews to the Valiant now! For 10 long minutes, rescue ships swarmed the dying cruiser, cutting through twisted metal to reach survivors. One by one, escape pods were recovered. One by one, crew members were pulled from the wreckage. Finally, in a section of the ship, when the Battle of Haven's Rest ended, 47 Kreth ships had been destroyed. 3 had managed to escape into faster-than-light travel. Not a single human vessel had been lost, though several were heavily damaged. The victory was total, and it sent shockwaves through the galaxy. In the crystal towers of the Galactic Council, ambassadors watched recordings of the battle with something like fear. The humans had taken on a major military power and crushed them easily. What did that mean for the balance of power in the galaxy? What did it mean for species who might anger the humans? But in the slums and colonies, on poor worlds and frontier stations, the common people of the galaxy watched the same recordings with something different. Hope. Hope that maybe the time of raiders and bullies was ending. Hope that someone was finally willing to stand up and fight. 3 months after the battle, the Galactic Council held an emergency meeting to discuss what they called the human question. Representatives from across known space gathered to debate and argue about how to respond to Earth's actions. Ambassador Thelrin of the Arxur watched with growing worry. The Arxur had helped humanity join the galactic community, and now some council members were saying that had been a mistake. The humans are too aggressive, said the Hector representative. They ignore rules. They act alone. They represent a danger to galactic peace. They saved the Kalari, argued Research Director Valora, who had been given permanent status at the council after the incident. They saved my people when no one else would. How is that a danger? Because now every small conflict will bring human interference, the Valdrine ambassador said. They've made themselves galactic peacekeepers without anyone's permission. What gives them that right? Jake Morrison, fully recovered from his injuries and promoted to commander, sat in the observer area listening to the debate. He'd been called to testify to explain humanity's actions. Part of him wanted to stand up and tell them exactly what he thought. But Admiral Hayes had been clear. Be diplomatic, be respectful, but don't back down. When his turn came to speak, Jake stood before the council and chose his words carefully. Honored council members, you ask what gives humanity the right to act as we have. I would ask a different question. What gives us the right not to? When someone is dying and asks for help, what authority says we should check the rules first? He looked around the chamber. The Kreth Dominion has been raiding and enslaving for 50 years. The council has condemned them repeatedly. You've issued warnings and sent messages and held votes. And in all that time, how many lives did you save? How many Kalari children or other innocents? The chamber was silent. Humans don't claim to be better than you, Jake continued. We don't claim to be wiser or more advanced. But we believe in something simple. If you can help, you should help. If you can stop evil, you should stop evil. Maybe that makes us naive. Maybe it makes us dangerous. But it's who we are. He pointed to the screen showing the battle's aftermath. You're worried about us disrupting galactic stability. I understand that. Stability is valuable. But what good is stability built on the suffering of the powerless? What good is peace bought with the blood of innocents who live in the wrong sector? Ambassador Thelrin spoke up. Commander Morrison, the Council exists to prevent chaos, to settle disputes, to find diplomatic solutions. And when diplomacy fails, when raiders don't care about warnings, when slavers ignore your votes, Jake shook his head. The galaxy needs both diplomacy and the will to act. You provide one, we provide the other. The Hector representative stood, his massive form towering over everyone. So humanity makes itself the galaxy's military force? This is unacceptable. This is imperialism pretending to be kindness. Then what do you suggest? Jake asked. Should we have let the Kalari die? Should we have let the Kreth continue raiding? Should we ignore every distress call we hear because acting might upset politics? He leaned forward. You want to know the truth? The truth is that Earth looked at the galaxy and saw what we left behind on our own world centuries ago. Nations with power refusing to act because it was inconvenient. Politicians more concerned with their positions than with lives. Systems that valued procedure over people. We fought wars to overcome that thinking. We built a civilization based on the idea that with power comes responsibility. Not the responsibility to conquer or rule, but the responsibility to protect and serve. Jake looked directly at the Hector. If that's imperialism, then I'm proud to be called that. The chamber erupted in argument. Some representatives agreed with Jake. Others condemned him. The debate went on for hours. But through it all, one fact remained clear. Humanity had acted, and their actions had saved hundreds of lives and destroyed a predator fleet. Finally, after 3 days of debate, the council reached a decision. Like most council decisions, it was a compromise that satisfied no one. The Galactic Council would establish something called the Protective Intervention Protocol. Under this framework, any council member could respond to genuine distress calls from civilians under attack without needing prior permission. However, such actions would be reviewed afterward to make sure they were justified. It was official language that basically said what humanity had already done was okay while giving the council a way to save face. The humans would be watched but not stopped. Ambassador Thelron found Jake after the session ended, in one of the station's observation areas overlooking the planet below. "You made enemies today," Thelron said. "Powerful enemies who will look for any excuse to limit Earth's influence." "I know," Jake said. "But we also made friends, and more importantly, we made a statement. The galaxy now knows what humanity stands for." "And what is that?" Jake smiled. "That we don't abandon people. That we stand up to bullies. That we're willing to bleed for strangers we've never met." He turned to face the alien. "Ambassador, the Arcs have been in space for thousands of years. You've built an amazing civilization based on wisdom and careful diplomacy. That's valuable. That's necessary, but sometimes the galaxy needs humans. We're young, we're reckless, we're probably going to cause diplomatic problems for centuries." Jake's smile widened. "But when someone's in trouble, when the bad guys are winning, when hope is dying, we're the ones who'll show up ready to fight." Thelron was quiet for a moment. Then he placed his hand on Jake's shoulder in a gesture few humans had ever seen from an Arcsur. "Perhaps that is exactly what the galaxy needs. Partners who balance wisdom with courage, caution with action, diplomacy with the will to fight. Partners," Jake repeated. "I like that." Back on Earth, changes were already happening. Admiral Hayes stood in Fleet Command watching construction drones work on a new class of warship. They were calling them Guardian-class cruisers. Larger and more powerful than the Valiant, but built with the same purpose. Protect the innocent, never back down. A dozen were being built with plans for hundreds more. The shipyards above Earth, Mars, and the colony worlds were working around the clock. Recruitment centers were overwhelmed with people who wanted to serve in what the media was calling the Deathworlder fleet. "We're building an empire of protection," said Vice Admiral Gordon Mitchell, who had come specifically to see the new ships. He still had doubts about Admiral Hayes' aggressive approach, but he couldn't argue with the results. "Not an empire," Patricia corrected. "A network. An alliance. A promise." She brought up a star map showing dozens of systems. "These are worlds that have contacted us since the battle. Mining colonies harassed by pirates, research stations threatened by raiders, trade routes that need protection. They're all asking for help. Can we help them all? Not yet. But we will." Patricia's expression showed determination. "We're going to build a fleet that can respond to any crisis anywhere in our sector. We're going to train crews to the highest standard. We're going to develop tactics and weapons that no enemy can match. And when the council objects, let them object. We're not asking permission. We're doing what's right." She smiled. "Gordon, humanity spent thousands of years fighting each other. We got very good at war. Now we're going to use those skills for something better. We're going to protect those who can't protect themselves." She pointed to the Guardian-class cruiser taking shape in orbit. "Every one of these ships is named after a hero. Not generals or admirals, but ordinary people who stood up when it mattered. People who ran into danger to save others. The first Guardian-class cruiser is named Valiant after Jake Morrison's ship, because that's what this fleet represents. Not conquest or rule, but the willingness to sacrifice for others." Across human space, the change in attitude was clear. Humanity had found its purpose among the stars. They weren't just explorers or traders or scientists, though they were those things too. They were protectors, defenders, the people who answered the call. Young people joined the fleet in record numbers. Engineers designed new weapons and shields. Tacticians studied enemy battle patterns and developed countermeasures. Diplomats worked to build alliances with other species who shared humanity's values. And on 1,000 worlds, In 100 species, people watched the humans with mixed feelings. Fear because humanity had proven capable of devastating military action. Respect because they used that power to defend others. Hope because maybe the galaxy was changing. 1 year had passed since the Battle of Haven's Rest. The galaxy had changed in ways that nobody could have predicted. The change started with one ship, one captain, and one decision to help people in need. Now it was spreading across thousands of star systems. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Valiant 2, reviewing reports from across human space. His ship had answered 43 distress calls in the past year. They had rescued miners from collapsing tunnels, protected cargo ships from pirates, evacuated colonies threatened by natural disasters, and fought off raiders who preyed on the weak. Each mission had been dangerous. Each one had been worth it. "Captain, incoming transmission from Admiral Hayes," Lisa said from her station. Jake straightened his uniform. "Put her through." Admiral Patricia Hayes appeared on the screen. She looked tired but satisfied. Behind her, Jake could see the busy operations center of Fleet Command. "Commander Morrison, I have good news. The Council has officially recognized the Protective Intervention Protocol. 15 species have signed on as partners. We're no longer acting alone." Jake felt a wave of relief. "That's incredible news, Admiral." "Which species joined?" "The Arxur were first, of course. The Kalari signed immediately after them. The Pelthene, the Fenrillian, several others, even some species we've never worked with before reached out. They all want to be part of what we're building." "What exactly are we building, Admiral?" Patricia smiled. "A better galaxy, Commander. One where calling for help actually means something. Where predators think twice before attacking. Where the strong protect the weak instead of exploiting them." She pulled up a star map covered in green markers. "These are Guardian fleet stations we've established in the past year. 23 of them spread across our sector. Each one is staffed by human crews and partner species working together. Each one is ready to respond to distress calls within hours." Jake studied the map. The coverage was impressive. "How are the other species adapting to working with us?" "Better than expected. Turns out a lot of species have been waiting for someone to stand up to the raiders and slavers. They just needed someone to take the first step." Patricia's expression grew more serious. "But it hasn't been easy. We've lost ships. We've lost people. 3 Guardian cruisers have been destroyed in combat. 47 crew members have died in the line of duty." Jake felt the weight of those numbers. Every death was someone's child, someone's friend, someone's loved one. "Are we making a difference?" "Piracy in our sector is down 60%. Slave raids have dropped by 75%. Trade is up. Colony applications are at record highs. People feel safe in ways they haven't in decades." Patricia leaned forward. "Yes, Commander. We're making a difference. A big one. What about the Kreth? The Dominion collapsed 6 months ago. Internal fighting tore it apart after we destroyed their 5th fleet. Most of their former territories have declared independence. Some have asked to join our protection network." Jake felt a mixture of satisfaction and sadness. War was ugly even when it was necessary. "And the Galactic Council? How are they handling all this?" Patricia's smile turned wry. "They're adjusting. Some members resent us. They think we're too aggressive, too willing to use force. Others quietly thank us for doing what they couldn't. The Council is split, but they can't deny the results." "Are we still following their rules?" "We follow the Protective Intervention Protocol. We respond to legitimate distress calls. We use proportional force. We document everything and submit reports. But we don't wait for permission anymore. We can't. By the time the Council debates and votes, people are already dead." Jake nodded. He'd learned that lesson the hard way. "What are my new orders, Admiral?" "You're being promoted to Fleet Captain. You'll command a squadron of 5 Guardian cruisers in the outer sectors. Your area of responsibility covers 80 star systems. Most of them are frontier worlds, mining colonies, research stations, the kind of places that used to be easy targets. When do I start?" "Immediately. Your squadron is assembling at Station Defiance. You ship out in 3 days." Patricia paused. "Jake, this is important work. These frontier communities have been suffering for years. They need to know someone is watching out for them." "We won't let them down, Admiral." After the transmission ended, Jake called his senior officers to the briefing room. Amy, Derek, Lisa, and several new faces gathered around the table. Over the past year, the crew had grown. They'd lost some people to transfers and promotions. They'd gained others who wanted to serve on the famous Valiant 2. "We have new orders. Jake began. "We're taking command of a squadron. 5 ships total, covering 80 systems in the outer sectors." Derek whistled. "That's a lot of space to cover." "It is. But we're not alone. Each of those systems will have local security forces, early warning networks, and direct communication links to us. When someone calls for help, we'll be there." Amy brought up a map of their new area. "Most of these systems are on major trade routes. That makes them targets for pirates. We'll need to establish patrol patterns, set up response protocols, coordinate with local authorities. We'll also need to train them," Jake added. "Not every threat requires a Guardian cruiser. Local forces should be able to handle minor incidents themselves. We'll provide training, equipment, tactical support. Make them partners, not dependents." Lisa raised her hand. "Captain, what about first contact situations? Some of these outer systems have species we've never worked with before. We approach them carefully. We explain who we are and what we do. We offer help, but we don't force it. Building trust takes time." Jake looked around the table at his officers. "This is a big responsibility. We're not just defending territory. We're representing humanity to species who may have never met us before. Every interaction matters. How we treat civilians, how we handle conflicts, how we work with local governments. All of it reflects on Earth and on everything we're trying to build." He stood. "I know you're all up to the challenge. You've proven that over and over. Now let's get ready to do it on a bigger scale." 3 days later, Jake stood on the bridge of the Valiant II as his squadron assembled. 4 other Guardian cruisers took positions around his ship: the Defender, the Protector, the Vigilant, and the Sentinel. Each one was commanded by an experienced captain. Each crew had proven themselves in combat and rescue operations. "All ships report ready, Captain," Amy said. Jake opened a channel to the entire squadron. "All ships, this is Fleet Captain Morrison. Today we take responsibility for 80 star systems and the millions of people who live there. They're counting on us to keep them safe, to respond when they're in danger, to stand between them and those who would do them harm. This won't be easy. The outer sectors are rough. Pirates, raiders, smugglers, they all operate out there. But they're about to learn something important. Those days are over. The Guardian fleet is here and we don't back down." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "A year ago I made a choice. I answered a distress call when I probably shouldn't have. I risked my ship and crew to save people I'd never met. A lot of people thought that was crazy. Maybe it was. But it was also right. That choice started something bigger than any of us expected. It showed the galaxy that someone still cares about doing the right thing, that someone still believes in protecting the innocent, that someone still has the courage to stand up to evil. Now we have a chance to build on that foundation, to create a galaxy where people don't live in fear, where calling for help actually brings help, where the strong protect the weak instead of preying on them." Jake's voice grew stronger. "I won't lie to you. We'll face danger. We'll take losses. Some of us won't come home, but we'll make a difference. We'll save lives. We'll give hope to people who thought hope was dead. So let's go do what we do best. Let's go be the help that someone desperately needs. All ships engage engines. Set course for the outer sectors. Maximum speed." 5 Guardian cruisers lit their engines simultaneously. As one, they jumped to faster than light speed and disappeared into the depths of space. Behind them, Admiral Hayes watched from Fleet Command. She had taken a huge risk backing Jake Morrison's initial decision. She had defied orders and protocol to save him at Haven's Rest. She had pushed for the Guardian Fleet program when many thought it was too aggressive. Now, watching the squadron depart, she knew it had all been worth it. A junior officer approached her station. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Frontier Mining Consortium. They're requesting Guardian Fleet protection for their outer colonies. Approved. Assign them to Morrison's squadron. Also, the Kalari Union is asking if we can help train their new defense force. Tell them yes. Send them some of our best instructors. And Admiral, the Galactic Council is requesting your presence at a security summit next month. They want to discuss expanding the protective intervention protocol." Patricia smiled. Change was slow, but it was happening. "Confirm my attendance. Let's see if we can get more species on board." As she worked, Patricia thought about how far humanity had come. They'd gone from being newcomers afraid of making mistakes to being leaders that others looked to for protection and guidance. It had happened because one captain refused to ignore a distress call. Because one crew decided that doing the right thing mattered more than